Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation of the Siemplify Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response platform, where we will specifically be covering how to reduce your VPN and work from home risks using SOAR. I want to let everyone know that today's session will be recorded and emailed out to you all, where you can rewatch at your convenience. And furthermore, we will host a Q&A at the end of this presentation, so feel free to use your Zoom control panel at the bottom of your screen to ask those questions at any time. My name is Chris, and I am a marketing manager here at Siemplify, and today I am joined by Mike Gibbons, one of our solution engineers. Before Mike dives into the demonstration of how SOAR can help streamline your remote access control management, I want to first set the stage for what you'll be seeing shortly. To start, here's a little bit of background about Siemplify. As a company, we are rooted in security operations, or as we like to say, we were born in the SOC. Our company was founded by security operations experts who worked in a government SOC and then moved on to train dozens and dozens of both military and civilian SOCs from around the world. They founded this company and developed Siemplify based on their experiences and everything that security operations teams need to succeed. Furthermore, we are the leading independent security operations platform, and we're trusted by the biggest and best enterprises and MSSPs from around the world. This includes many Fortune 500 companies and Gartner Magic Quadrant MSSPs that trust Siemplify as their platform to run their security operations day in and day out. Furthermore, there are a number of common security operations challenges that we hear about time and time again that we address with our solution. The first challenge is the fact that there is no central platform to manage security operations from. If you look at other operations in a company like sales or HR, there's typically one platform like Salesforce or Workday, respectively, where people log in and get all of their work done. But if you've ever been inside a SOC, it's very typical to see analysts constantly swiveling between multiple monitors, products, tabs, and so on that impact productivity. The second challenge is that all the tools security operations teams use and keep adding at a growing pace were not designed to work with one another. And therefore, there is no connective fabric to orchestrate all these products that you use. Next is manual and inconsistent processes. The processes that security operations teams use need to follow to address a specific threat are oftentimes poorly documented or even non-existent. And when those processes do exist, they're typically very manual, which means that analysts spend their precious time on repetitive and mundane activities. This is a particularly serious issue because of the global talent shortage. We all know that cybersecurity professionals are very hard to find, which means that as an organization, you should strive to focus your team's time on high value work and make sure that cybersecurity talent that we have and that you have is productive and satisfied. Next is alert overload, which is obviously a very well-known problem in security operations. We put in place all these detection tools that generate a growing volume of alert, and we simply have to be better at being able to efficiently address all of these alerts at scale. And finally, the last challenge we see in security operations is the difficulty in rising above the daily firefight to track key performance indicators, understanding where we're getting better and where we need to improve. But at Siemplify, we've truly transformed security operations. With Siemplify, security operations teams finally have the single workbench that allows them to get work done from a single platform. You can make all the tools that you have invested in work together and create consistent automated response processes that dramatically decrease your response times. With Siemplify, your limited security talent can now spend their time on high value work as opposed to repetitive and mundane activities. All of this allowing you to effectively respond to alerts at scale, addressing alert overload. And finally, because all security operations activity is now captured in a single platform, you can begin to leverage this theater to track and measure your security operations and identify areas for improvement. There are obviously a lot of SOAR solutions out there, but here are some of the things that set Siemplify apart. So while SOAR is at the heart of what we do, we also offer a much broader solution that really serves as the central workbench for security operations, from the entry-level analyst to the SOC manager and beyond. We have a patented threat-centric approach that groups alerts from across your detection tools into single threat-centric cases. This is a powerful paradigm shift that ensures your analysts are spending their time on threats versus chasing a number of alerts, and this ultimately provides huge efficiency gains. We also don't stop at the daily blocking and tackling of alert handling. If you discover that you've been breached and need to collaborate with other stakeholders to respond to a crisis, the Siemplify platform has an embedded crisis management module. We also have baked into our platform machine learning recommendations that get smarter with every analyst interaction. And finally, the Siemplify platform is powerfully simple. Yes, there's a lot of power and flexibility for engineers, but our simple and intuitive platform allows analysts to be productive and ramp up quickly, enabling them to consistently make rapid and educated decisions. As mentioned, we are an independent SOAR solution, which means that we partner with the security ecosystem that you already rely on. We currently have over 200 integrations and are very close partners with many of the leading cybersecurity vendors out there. But you don't have to take our word for it. Even Gartner has stated that independent solutions will do a better job compared to SOAR platforms who are not vendor neutral. Lastly, we pride ourselves at Siemplify on our commitment to the success of our customers. As a vendor that's 100% committed to SOAR, we've created a proven and repeatable process to onboard and get customers to value in a matter of a few weeks. We achieve this by allocating a dedicated onboarding manager and customer success manager who work closely with you during and after the onboarding process, bringing a very personal touch to the engagement. We also provide unparalleled support with 3 global support centers, an expert support team, a rich help center portal, certifications, and pretty much everything you would expect from a world-class support organization. And to top it off, we have a dedicated community of security professionals who share best practices and exchange ideas, playbooks, and use cases on a regular basis. So in summary, we are SOC experts trusted by the best, delivering a powerfully simple threat-centric platform that is vendor agnostic with a rich partner ecosystem that is committed to your success. So with that, today Mike is going to specifically run through how Siemplify's SOAR platform helps streamline remote access control investigations, enabling you to remediate threats rapidly, resulting in a more secure network. Obviously, organizations nowadays are leaning heavily on VPNs to protect an enormous influx of remote workers, and VPNs are therefore continuously being targeted by attackers. So with security operations playbooks, we can formulate and monitor VPN logins, patch flaws, manage IP address connections, and so on, ensuring that you have that they don't have a history of malicious activity and that you are secure. So with that, I will hand things over to Mike.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so well, hello everybody. My name is Mike Gibbons. I'm one of the SEs here at Siemplify, and I'm going to be running you guys through a demo of the platform today. We're going to be focusing on a couple different things. One of them is going to be kind of some of the issues, like a very typical case that you guys could have for remote employees logging in and some malicious traffic, and kind of how Siemplify can help remediate that. We'll take a look at that, and then we'll also look at the mapping of a couple different types of alerts as well. But before I get into that, though, I kind of wanted to give you guys kind of a rundown of Siemplify and our approach to SOAR. So, I mean, there's a couple of things that are really common amongst a lot of the SOAR platforms. You know, like for example, like all SOAR platforms have playbooks, right? I mean, that's essentially like the bare bones for being considered a SOAR product. You know, and an average SOAR platform, you know, is made of drag and drop playbooks. Most of them are, you know, for automation by running numerous scripts, Python in the back end, you know, accessing your security tools, APIs, which essentially makes your SOC faster, right? But the goal is speed, obviously, but it's also to bring in, you know, a lot of context to make your SOC smarter, which also helps you, helps with the speed and efficiency of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, the overall automation in its own is very important, but a little more is needed. You know, like most of your average SOAR companies out there, you know, a product will get an alert. whether it be like DLP, something from the firewall, phishing, it doesn't really see the relationship between the alerts, and it can't really derive context between those, right? Like the alerts are kind of coming in somewhat siloed for the most part. And that's what I kind of mean by context, right? Like you have 2 or 3 separate alerts that are actually linked together. And they have a common relationship, but you don't really see that right away. And that's kind of one of the things that we do here is we group these alerts together based on the common entities and artifacts. And it kind of helps you break that down really, really fast. And if it is kind of, the one alert here and the one alert here, maybe that one alert will be assigned to one analyst, the other alert will be assigned to another analyst. And they can likely get to the same conclusion, but it's going to take them a little bit of time. And it does take skill as an analyst to be able to see those commonalities and associated links between them working in an environment like that. And I'm not saying that they can't get to that, but it's just kind of difficult to do so. And it kind of slows down the overall remediation of it. And my previous life before Siemplify here, I was an analyst. So I worked in cyber threat intelligence. I was working on, a lot of the cybercrime aspect, the counterterrorism. And, like many of you on here at one point in your lives, in this industry, I'm sure you guys have spent days and even weeks responding to something, going through logs, trying to find these commonalities and everything like that. So that's kind of what I mean by context, right? And how is Siemplify different from the other SOAR platforms outside of that? I mean, we are a SOC management platform. We allow you to manage your SOC operations, and you connect all your security products and build automated workflows via our playbooks all in one place. I'm talking end-to-end automation, which removes a lot of the workload that I kind of just talked about. So that way you can essentially save your analysts some time and that they can focus on the things that really do matter to them. And that overall is going to increase your SOC's proficiency right there. We are very context driven and threat centric, not alert centric. So by this, kind of what I'm getting at is, we connect to your SIEM and we bring these alerts in. We then analyze from this data, we extract your entities and artifacts as we call them. And then we see if there are already open alerts that have those as well. And if they do have that commonality, we group them together. And then we bring these alerts, as you can see, there's numerous alerts here, into one case. So essentially you get the full picture around it really fast. And aside from that, our platform is very, very analyst friendly, very user friendly. As you can see, there's a lot to engage with very easily. The playbook management is also really easy. We have, in the settings tab, we have a lot of different settings you can configure to for permissions, for environments. The system is very, very multi-tenant. I have a lot of large enterprises. I have a lot of large MSSPs, that I've worked with that really are able to manage that very well inside the platform. So now I'm going to kind of kick off a little bit of the demo here. So right now we're going to approach this as an analyst would in the platform, right? You're a tier 1, tier 2 guy, tier 3, whatever. So, I want you to put yourself kind of in the analyst mindset. And, when you're an analyst, you receive a lot of alerts a day, right? You have a queue, you're going to go through those. And initially when you see something, there's a couple things that you want to know right away. Primarily is, what happened? When did it happen? Where did this actually happen, on your network? And if you're a multinational corporation, this could be in New York, this could be in London, this could be in Kuala Lumpur. I mean, you name it, right? You're also going to want to know why did it happen? And, eventually you're going to try to get to that how did it happen, which tends to be one of the more difficult ones to get to. But, that might even be derived after the incident has kind of already been stopped, found, hey, this is happening, whatever, stop it. Okay, then you're going to go back through and do the deep dive into the how. But that's essentially what you want to derive. And we can get to the heart of those really quick here. So what we see here is our cases tab in the platform. And this is our case overview screen. So here initially I can see the case name. Say we have a malware detected case here. The overall criticality of it, which we have color coded here, which you can see we have different kind of criticalities that you can have. And the criticality is derived from the alerts that make up the case. So there could be numerous alerts in the case, right? Here we have two alerts. So the thresholding for criticality is set at a combination of these alerts, which is a little different than most SIMs and how a SIM would assign criticality, which tends to be based more on the specific alert itself, right? So like one thing that we all know is like phishing, for example, right? You have a phishing alert on its own at the SIM, you know, that's obviously an incident, you want to worry about it, but now think about that phishing alert had another alert with it that had like a data exfil to it, right? I mean, that's going to obviously change the criticality. The severity is going to go up substantially due to that, right? Whereas you wouldn't really be able to see that if they were standing alone, the alerts themselves. So here you can see that right away. You can see the case queue and everything. And you can see the analyst that it was assigned to, how many alerts are with it, whether there's a playbook attached, it's timestamped with an ID, etc. You can see the analyst picture who actually has control of that case, whether it's a playbook, whether it's marked as an incident, etc. But one of the kind of like the real, I guess like the real like meat of the platform is going to be, you know, the insights here. So the insights are all the information that is derived from the case and the integrations via the integrations APIs, right? So we're reaching out with whatever your security tools are, and we're gonna ping that API and pull in all this information right away. So you get a very short, concise snapshot of the important information that's being displayed for this case, which makes it very easy for an analyst to digest. And these are also very customizable. You can decide what you want displayed as an insight. You can control the amount of information an analyst actually sees here and they're able to interact with. And for example, for this case right here, malware detected, a couple of things that we can see right away are, we have two of these alerts coming in. We can see that they're timestamped here. One was at 15:51:31, one was at 15:51:31. So these happen both simultaneously. Immediately, I can see our playbook here running. I can see that it actually finished here. I can see that we have what appears to be 3 malicious IP addresses that are external to our organization, our network. I can also see here that there's a device called Timmy's laptop, which is actually internal on our network. And I can also see the Active Directory did not pull anything up for it, which seems kind of odd, right? Sentinel-1's telling me that there was no host found on this machine, etc. So right now I'm able to see these. And I'm starting to say, okay, so it looks to me, somebody logged in on a personal laptop to our network, and that machine could have possibly been communicating with these external IP addresses, which, looking at the virus total results, looking at the recorded future results, you know, our threat intelligence here, and looking at our checkpoint firewall, I'm able to see that these are actually malicious. These have already been pinged before, and that they need further investigation into, because this could be something more critical. So once we have this, I'm able to see all of this, right? And then we have something else where we actually bring this together in our grouping. So we click on this, we'll be able to see like a visual representation of this here. And the grouping here is essentially a live graphical representation of these entities and artifacts. And the reason why this is live is because this is actually updating as the incident progresses and more alerts are brought in. So let's say another, you know, whatever anomaly happened on the network and it was grouped with this, like let's say it also hit the same IP, or it was also coming from this user's laptop here. It would also be grouped in this case, and then you would then see it being mapped here. So when you look on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see that in chronological order, the two alerts that occurred. And you can see this one's highlighted by this one's highlighted by this, and the timeline in which they occurred. And then, so right here, I'm able to see everything that's happening with this. I can click on the actual user here. I can see the host name. I can see, was it enriched, it's suspicious, etc. And if I wanted to, one of the things I could do is I could come up here and actually take action from this screen. So I can click on manual action. And if I wanted to say, let's say, block this user's IP, this is something I could do. So, and everything that you have incorporated in is going to pop up here. So all the tools that you are integrated with, you'll be able to then come to those and actually take action with that, right? Like I want to block this hash, or I want to block this URL, or I want to block this IP, etc. So we could actually go and do that and be able to block that user's machine from actually accessing the network here. And one of the kind of the big powerful things about this is the grouping makes it really easy for junior analysts to see the reaction between alerts and entities, and kind of how they interact with one another. So you can see, like, we have, for example, this is a machine, and you can see that it's a solidly colored, which lets you know that it's actually something internal. You can see that these are hollowed out, which lets them know that they're external. They're also red, which lets us know that they're malicious. If they were enriched and found not to be malicious, these IPs would be green, stuff like that. And we have a key up here that kind of highlights everything associated with it too. And these are all the artifacts that would be displayed if they were actually associated with this. And just to kind of show another kind of mapping and modeling for something like this, we can go ahead and look at a phishing case too, just because I want to show you guys some kind of variability and kind of how things are displayed and what is displayed. So in this one, for example, we have a malicious hash, a URL. We have an internal user here. It says Vicky B at Siemplify. She's a sales engineer. Active Directory brought that in. We have virus total bringing back results, MITRE, etc., and recorded future enriching all this. And when we were to display it here, you would see this right here is the grouping of this. And we could also see how this actually hit the network. And there's a timeline here. So you would see that it started off with this user. They interacted with this email, this file. This malicious hash is associated with this file. This is what commonly is shared amongst all of these actors. Came to this device here, and then was actually exfilled to data pipe 9271 external to the organization. So I want to go back to the case wall really quick too, and kind of show the case wall here. And essentially this is a log of all the actions involved in the case. Everything from the time the alert was actually ingested in Siemplify, every form of enrichment that was run, the results of all of these. Anytime an analyst actually made an action, it's recorded, whether it was closed, what it was closed for, etc. So this is essentially a log of everything associated with this case, start to finish. And you can export these as a file if you want, CSV, PDF, for management, whatever, if you guys want to do a deep dive later on. It's part of IR. It's all located here in chronological order. And one of the other things that's really cool about the platform too is the playbooks page. This is kind of one of the fun parts of it, but you can see here is our playbook builder. And the whole approach to our playbook page is essentially ease of creation of these playbooks and also ease of management, because when your organization grows, you're going to have dozens, 50, 60, 150 playbooks, and being able to manage those playbooks can become difficult. So we do have the ability to bulk manage playbooks. And you can see here, you generally have a trigger, you'll have actions in your playbooks, you'll have conditional statements, which essentially is going to be, did it meet this threshold? Yes, okay, escalate up to an analyst. Did it not? Is it a false positive? Okay, go ahead and close it out as such. And then we have what you also would call blocks. So, for example, if you wanted to see, let me pull up a block here. Think of a block as a mini playbook that will run within a playbook. So instead of having like all your enrichment steps for each playbook, let's say you wanted to run every alert through virus total, X-Force, and MISP. Well, instead of dragging and dropping those actions in each playbook, you can create a block right here. And then you can just drag that block into the playbook. So essentially when you would edit this block, it would edit that across all 100 of your playbooks at one time, which really makes it easy to go ahead and manage a heavy amount of playbooks. And kind of the last thing I also want to highlight is our command center. And this is our incident response platform. It's a place for you to kind of bring in, to huddle up, and to control the actual response, like a holistic, whole enterprise approach to the response here. And I mean, when I was working, sending stuff out to some of the large banks, some government clients, you find something, hey, this is something of importance, do it. You send an email in, you get on a Zoom call, They have internal messages going on Slack or Teams. So you have a lot of different channels of communication around the incident, and people can kind of start to drift away or not be on the same page as it moves forward. So this allows you to bring in everyone to one page. What is the event? What's the strategy to respond? Okay, I need our legal team to do this. I need our IT team to do this. PR, I need you guys to start making a response because the press is going to start asking about it, etc. And you can bring people in from outside the SOC to actually view, so that they have eyes on as the incident actually unfolds. That's pretty much the nuts and bolts of the platform overall. The case management, the way we bring alerts in, we group them, how we visualize that, the overall insights, how that context is really derived really quick from it, the playbooks, kind of how they're created, the management across them, and then the ability to kind of bring everyone together for incident response.
Awesome. Thanks for the presentation, Mike. Just a reminder, we're going to jump into a Q&A now, so feel free to use the control panel on your Zoom screen to ask those questions. But getting started, Mike, typically how long does it take to get up and running with Siemplify?
So our onboarding process is roughly 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. And it depends too on your environment. I mean, everybody's environment's different. You know, some of the large enterprises, things can kind of slow down a little bit for permissions, for you know, opening different ports, etc. So, I mean, generally from what I've been seeing, it's around 4 weeks from the time you actually purchase till you're actually able to have a couple of use cases up and running in the environment and start seeing some value right away.
Cool. And someone would like to know, can they use Siemplify if they don't have a SIEM solution in place?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, a SIEM tends to be the standard build out, but you don't have to have a SIEM. I mean, you could essentially bring those tools right in. Like if you wanted to bring recorded future Active Directory straight in, and you know, SentinelOne, for example, you could definitely do that and start ingesting those alerts into the platform. You don't need to go through a SIEM.
Mm-hmm. And someone would like to know, if they have a homegrown tool in place, are they still able to integrate it with Siemplify?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have numerous, you know, clients in the past that have had their own proprietary SIEM, or, you know, some tools that they've created and, you know, they really enjoy, you know, like an MSSP, for example. Some of it was created in-house, and we were able to tie into that pretty easy.
And actually, speaking of MSSP, someone would like to know if our platform was multi-tenant.
Yes, everything in the platform is fully multi-tenant. And you can have, I mean, for example, like an MSSP, let's say you have 100 clients. You can define 100 different environments in the platform here. And each environment can be its own space for that client. So you'll have playbooks specifically for it. You'll have integrations configured specifically for it. You know, email responses, ticketing, metrics, etc. The whole platform is very, very multi-tenant.
Another question, how do we manage our user permissions, and can they be customized based on function?
Yes, so in the settings, you have full, let me go here, I'll actually show it. I mean, you have full permissions that you can actually take, and you can, I mean, if you want someone to have edit or view access over playbooks, or none, if you want them to be able to create reports, or if you want them to be able to access certain cases based on criticality. Let's say you don't want junior analysts, for example, to have, you want them to be able to attach a playbook to a case, etc., but you don't want them to do something like updating, you know, firewall permissions or isolating a host. Maybe you want to save that for more of your senior analysts, for example. You can do all of that in the settings. It's very, very customizable. You can create your own permission groups, assign people to those groups, and really manage it from there.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. I think that's actually going to wrap up the Q&A for now. I just wanted to highlight before we go that we have a free cloud trial of our Siemplify platform that you're able to sign up for, that comes with pre-built use cases, playbooks, etc. So you can get up and running and really get your hands dirty with Siemplify. So if you liked what you saw today, feel free to go to our website, siemplify.co/free trial, and start using that today. So with that, I want to thank everyone again for joining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.